How can you be happy when you feel sad inside? That's the question we're pondering today on The Art of Lifing with Keka. When we're feeling really sad, going through a difficult time in our life, if we're having a crappy day or even a crappy phase of life at the end of the day, sometimes there's a few things that derail us from our overall view of life. So if I want to be happy when I'm feeling sad, I might feel like I have to artificially force myself to be happy. And that might not feel authentic. It might feel disingenuous. And I don't think that that's necessarily the right route to take all the time. I also think that we're in a culture today where so often we are afraid of negative feelings. We're afraid of sort of sitting in something that we feel really bad in. And it's like, we just have to get out as soon as possible. So if this is not feeling good and it's feeling uncomfortable, oh my God, it's like a fire. We have to run from it and get away from it. And in life, we can't always do that. Sometimes we have to sit in that feeling of being crappy and just feel sad and all of those things. We have to go through those emotions in order to emerge stronger from it at the end. And so we have to give ourselves permission to feel sadness sometimes, knowing that even though we're going to get to happiness eventually, this is how it feels at the moment. And the third thing I wanted to share around this was that sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. Sometimes if we're having a bad time in our life, it can feel all-consuming. And what are we going to do with that? It's sort of like when all of that is there and we only feel that, we feel like we don't have permission to give ourselves happiness. So I had somebody ask me this the other day. In the sense of, okay, around the art of lifing, I always talk about how we should create a life that is based on our own terms, where we're doing it on our own purposefully, and that we keep happiness as a success metric. That it's not just about other exterior wins, but it's about happiness and how we feel inside. And so the question that I got in this conversation was, how do you feel happy when you're feeling really, really sad? And my answer to that, and of course I don't know all the answers, but my personal answer in terms of my experience is that you can feel really sad in the moment and still have a sense of overall contentment, or at least peace or calm overall. We often think that happiness and sadness or positive and negative emotions have to be on the same polarity. One is opposite of the other. And actually that's not the case. If you look at data and you speak to experts, they'll often say that sadness is one emotion, happiness is another emotion. They're on two different polarities. So one of the things that I think about when I'm having a really tough day or having a really difficult time in my life that I'm going through is I try to look at the overarching goal that I want to have. I try to look for that forest even among all those trees. And I equate it sometimes in my head to the way that we might be taking a road trip. We have an end destination we have to go to, but then there's some bumps and bruises and things that come along the way that are unexpected. I once was going to meet a friend of mine who lived outside of the city, and as I was following my GPS system, it took me into total farm country. Like there were stables and horses and cows all about, and I thought, this is clearly not the right place that I'm in. When we live our lives and we get lost like that and we get off track on our path, sometimes we're like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this. That's what it feels like. But if we get lost on the road, we don't feel like, oh my gosh, we're never going to get out of this. What do? We look for other solutions. So in that moment when I was seeing horses and cows and stables everywhere, I decided that I was going to drive for a little bit and see if I could find somebody. And I did. I found someone on the road and I asked for directions because clearly my GPS was no help to me at that point. But I eventually did find my way back to my friend's place. And in life, that's what happens. When we've got difficult circumstances and things that feel almost insurmountable, if we can try to pull ourselves up to a macro level to really try and see the forest beyond the trees themselves, we can see that where we're trying to go at the end of the day is going to give us a much better sense of contentment, peace, and calm, and maybe even happiness, even though we're feeling that sadness in the moment. So I invite you to think about, in your life, we think about the art of lifing and the principles around that. What are your overarching goals? What is the summit of the mountain that you want to go through? Make sure that you always keep that as your North Star, as your compass, so that when you're navigating the day-to-day pathway, when you come across things that are messy or ugly or difficult, you know that at the end of the day, you're going to reach that summit. You're going to reach that overall goal, and you've created that goal for yourself because that's going to be the thing that allows you to do life on purpose so that you can have that contentment along the way. So feel sad in the moment, that's okay. But while you do that, when you keep that North Star as your compass, you'll find that you can also have a sense of happiness and a sense of contentment. So I do think that it is possible to feel happiness and feel sadness at the same time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it, comment on it, and share it with someone you love. I put out new videos every Tuesday, and if you want to be notified specifically, then just click on that bell icon. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey, and I'll see you next time.